wisdom,
prudentia,
justice,
justitia,
temperance,
temperantia,
courage.
fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to the Sunday Stoic Podcast. I'm Steve, and I'm coming to you from my home in Conway, Arkansas. And this is a podcast where I explore the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, and we talk about how we might apply it to our modern lives. There are a lot of Stoic podcasts out there. I appreciate you stopping to check out this one, and I ask you to share it. If you find an episode you really like, share it with friends, rank it on iTunes or whatever. The more you do that, the wider the show's reach will be, and I appreciate your help. I also want to thank, before I continue, I want to thank Gavin for working on the show's website. He made it look a lot more professional than I could ever do. And Stu for joining me on Patreon to support the show on www.patreon.com/SundayStoic. Thank you for your support. Today's episode is on craftsmanship. Kind of a strange topic, perhaps, but I don't know if the Stoics literally talk about craftsmanship, but this is what comes to mind. I know by doing reflections on the values that I have, that craftsmanship is one of my values, one of the things I really value in life, even though I myself lack it in many, many ways. I still value it, and I want to become a craftsman or a craftsperson, if you will. So we cannot rush things in life, be it a project that we're working on, like in my case, woodworking, or building a project, or raising a child. So we can't rush, and we should not rush projects in our lives, and we really should not rush the greatest project that we have, which is our life itself. It's easy to be pulled and pushed around in all directions, but the Stoics call us to have a smooth flow of life. That is our goal. And to do that, we need a coherent plan, a way to navigate life. We need to do it skillfully. We can't rush it. We must do it right if we want to succeed. Moral Letters to Lucilius, number 108, on the approaches to philosophy.
The topic about which you ask me is one of those where our only concern with knowledge is to have the knowledge. Nevertheless, because it does so far concern us, you are in a hurry. You are not willing to wait for the books which I am at this moment arranging for you, and which embrace the whole department of moral philosophy. I shall send you the books at once, but I shall, before doing that, write and tell you how this eagerness to learn, with which I see you are aflame, should be regulated, so that it does not get in its own way. Things are not to be gathered at random, nor should they be greedily attacked in the mass. One will arrive at a knowledge of the whole by studying the parts. The burden should be suited to your strength, nor should you tackle more than you can adequately handle. Absorb not all that you wish, but all that you can hold. Only be of a sound mind, and then you will be able to hold all that you wish. For the more the mind receives, the more does it expand. My advice is this, that all study of philosophy and all reading should be applied to the idea of living the happy life. That we should not hunt out archaic or far-fetched words and eccentric metaphors and figures of speech, but that we should seek precepts which will help us, utterances of courage and spirit, which may be at once turned into facts. We should so learn them that words may become deeds. And I hold that no man has treated mankind worse than he who has studied philosophy, as if it were some marketable trade, who lives in a different manner from that which he advises. For those who are liable to every fault which they castigate advertise themselves as patterns of useless training. A teacher like that can help me no more than a seasick pilot can be efficient in a storm. He must hold the tiller when the waves are tossing him. He must wrestle, as it were, with the sea. He must furl his sails when the storm rages. What good is a frightened and vomiting steersman to me? And how much greater, think you, is the storm of life than that which tosses any ship? One must steer, not talk. All the words that these men utter and juggle before a listening crowd belong to others. They have been spoken by Plato, spoken by Zeno, spoken by Chrysippus and Poseidonus, and by a whole host of Stoics as numerous as excellent. I shall show you how men can prove their words to be their own. It is by doing what they have been talking about.
This is a great reading by Seneca where he castigates me. I think Epictetus castigates me as well. Someone who does a lot of talking about using other people's words, who doesn't live up to everything they're talking about. Seneca is telling Lucilius that this fire in his belly to learn philosophy is really worthwhile. It's great that he has this strong desire to learn, but he has to learn to be temperate. He has to learn to control it, because the flames of desire to learn this philosophy can burn themselves out, or they can burn so quickly that he doesn't actually assimilate what he's reading. And I've done that. Oh, so-and-so has a new book. Oh, this person has a new book. Ooh, a new blog piece. Ooh, a new letter. Blah, 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 blah. And how much of that do I actually absorb, reflect on, and utilize in my own thinking, in my own life? It's something that we must be very wary of. We have to think calmly, clearly, think of our ultimate aim, and then figure out how to get there in somewhat of a minimalist fashion. If you're like me and you have about 14 books piled up and you've read one chapter in each of them, you don't get very far. You should probably have a better plan than that. So he needs a plan of study. He doesn't need to read every new book on the subject. He needs a strong foundation before he can read more and more and more. Although Seneca says once you really learn a lot, then your mind expands and can take in more and more and more. But then Seneca warns him about podcasters and things. He tells Lucilius to watch out for those who use the words of others, who preach philosophy, if you will, just to profit from it. And rather than paying attention to people who talk about philosophy, pay really good attention to those who live philosophy. Those talking about the good life are way different than those who are actually living it. He compares that to having a seasick captain. Like, what good is having a philosopher, a teacher, who doesn't know what the hell they're talking about? It's like having a captain who's seasick. The storm is raging, and that ship might be sunk very, very soon unless the captain can get it onto shore, but the captain is vomiting over the side and not doing his job. What good would that be for you? That wouldn't be good at all. So we must be careful about choosing our teachers, about following those who live up to their philosophy, and about learning a little bit at a time so that we can really have a strong foundation, really do a good job. This, once again, reminds me of this idea of craftsmanship, of doing a really thorough, really good job in any project we take on. And that includes one of my hobbies, woodworking, which I am not great at, but I can see the work of others, and I can really see what craftsmanship is, and I'd like to get there one day. But we can't do that in a hurry, and that's one of my issues. I always want to see the final product and not take all the steps necessary to build a beautiful product. For example, I can't draw to save my life, but if someone told me to draw a picture of a house, I would be done in like 30 seconds and it would look like crap. And then someone I know who can draw might take an hour or more to draw a picture of a house, and it would be amazing. They take time, they put in all this detail. I don't even know how to put in that much time in the drawing. I just don't know what to do. But that slow, steady, deliberate work that takes focus, drive, and skill is something I find to be very admirable. Slow and steady tends to win. So we should do that in the projects in our life. What I mean by projects are the things we do every day. Making a homemade gift for Christmas for someone, telling my son a bedtime story, or even driving to work. What does craftsmanship look like on a drive to work? It's using your turn signals and being courteous. Things like that. You know what I mean? Just being present, doing everything to the best of your ability. Erete, living well. On that note, I thought I'd just share with you, I was working in my journal a little bit today. Let me flip through it here. Reflecting on personal values and things, and things that I want to do to focus on in the future. And so I was working on personal values. We've kind of reflected on these as a family as well. And as you may know from an earlier episode, we kind of came up with a family motto. May I be thankful, humble, curious, and kind. And we have that hanging on our wall, as I know at least one of my listeners has hanging on their wall as well. But I reflected on some of my personal values that I want to think about. And one of them is kindness, which I tie into the principle of, of justice, the virtue of justice. Assist others, especially family, but all people. Be active in the community. Be a good father and husband. Another one of my personal values is curiosity, which I tie into the Stoic idea of prudence or wisdom. And that's to study this amazing universe of which I am a part, learn as much of it as I can, be grateful and engaged. And then to be creative, which may be a stretch, but I tie into the idea of temperance, not being slothful, which is easy for me to do, sit around and watch what others have done, but to be creative myself, to get off of my butt, to utilize my brain, to make things, to play music, build relationships, to teach well as in my profession, to grow as a teacher, to always be getting better, to not be a simple consumer, but to strive for craftsmanship. So these are things that I wrote down. Those are my 3 core values that I want to work on. Perhaps I turn 40 next February. And these are the things I want to be working on and improving as I cross that threshold. And I decided a few other things. Time. Spend your time working on your principles. Kindness being the most important one. Kindness trumps all the rest. I need to spend less time stewing over things and browsing the internet and worrying about what other people think. But think about what I think. I need, in terms of money, I need to buy nothing on a whim, because I can be pretty good at that, unless necessary. And what I want to do is if I see something I want to jot it down in this journal and wait at least 14 days before purchasing it. And then decide, number 1, why do I think I need this? Number 2, oh, there's my son. Well, there you go. Insight into my life. Number 1, why do I need this? Number 2, will it change our lives? Not just my life. Will it change our lives? And number 3, where will it be in 10 years? In a drawer, in the trash, or something that will really enhance our lives? These are the things I want to ask myself. So I invite you to reflect on your own life. How can you instill craftsmanship into your everyday? And email the show, sundaystoic@gmail.com. Let me know your thoughts. And don't forget to seize the day. Carpe diem.
Thank you for listening to The Sunday Stoic. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review The Sunday Stoic on iTunes. Become a member of the Sunday Stoic team, earn rewards, and be an integral part of the show by becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/SundayStoic. Contact the show by emailing sundaystoic@gmail.com or by leaving a voicemail at 501-503-3132. To find out more, visit www.sundaystoicpodcast.com. And as Steve always says, Carpe diem.